I had been devotedly taking care of Amelia, my mother-in-law, but one day, she suddenly said, "I've decided to leave the house and all my assets to my daughter, my only family." Her sudden declaration left me speechless. I had never once discussed inheritance with Amelia. "Because you're an outsider. Only a fool would leave their inheritance to a stranger," she continued, her tone sharp and dismissive. Yet, I didn't resent her for it. I simply gave her a smile. My name is Evelyn. Currently, I live alone with Amelia. In the past, it wasn't just the two of us. My husband, Aiden, and father-in-law, Liam, had lived with us too. But Aiden passed away 16 years ago, and a few years later, Liam passed as well. Then, why am I living alone with Amelia now? It's because, before Aiden passed, he asked me, even after I'm gone, "Please don't abandon my parents." At that time, Aiden, our son Jackson, and I lived about an hour's drive from the in-laws' house. But after Aiden's death, I decided to honor his request by moving into the in-laws' house with Amelia and Liam. When it was decided that I'd move in with them, I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. Jackson had to move to an apartment closer to his workplace, since commuting from the in-laws' house would have been too far. Aiden had a sister, Isabella, who lived nearby with her family after getting married. However, Isabella turned out to be quite the challenge. She seemed to think I was nothing more than a housekeeper, always ordering me around. But curiously, she never behaved that way in front of her husband, Caleb. This made me realize that Isabella knew her behavior was wrong. I once told Caleb about what she was doing, but he brushed it off, saying Isabella would never do something like that. That's when I realized I couldn't rely on him. When Liam was still alive, we shared the responsibility of taking care of Amelia, which allowed me to focus on housework. After he passed, I began working as a freelance illustrator from home to earn money while also caring for Amelia. It was a heavy burden, but as long as I met deadlines, I managed to balance caregiving and housework, squeezing in work whenever I could. Evelyn. Amelia called out to me as I was busy in the kitchen. Whenever she used that tone, it was usually a sign that she had something unpleasant to say. "Sorry for keeping you waiting. I was finishing up the dishes." "What's the matter? Don't make me wait just because of something as trivial as washing dishes." "I'm sorry. Honestly. Look over there and over there. There's trash everywhere. Clean it up right now." Amelia pointed to a small snack bag and a plastic bottle on the floor. "Amelia, I just cleaned that spot." "You put the trash there after I finished, didn't you? Are you blaming your poor cleaning skills on me?" Unbelievable. And so, the harassment began. "You neglect your cleaning because you're always fiddling with that computer. That's why Aiden got sick. I still don't understand why someone like you married him. If only I had forced him to break it off before the wedding." Criticizing me has become a habit for her. "I'm sorry, but I have never neglected my cleaning duties. I clean your room every day, don't I? And when I'm on the computer, I'm working. I explained my job to you before we got married. Remember? Now I just work from home, and it's not like I'm playing around. Stop making excuses. You always have some excuse. Don't contradict me." It always ends the same way, with her declaring, "My word is final." I left Amelia's room, using housework as my excuse. If you think this only happens with cleaning, imagine what it's like with cooking. What is this? It's so bland it's disgusting. Or are you trying to kill me with how salty this is? Every single meal comes with complaints. Early on, I even had friends taste my cooking to see if it was really that bad. Every single one of them told me it was delicious. That's when I realized she was just being spiteful. Nowadays, I don't let it bother me. Amelia might criticize me constantly, but she has her sloppy moments too. When Liam passed away, his inheritance was set to go to her, and she handed me the responsibility. Evelyn, Liam has some money. Make sure it gets deposited into my bank account properly. Liam's will is with a lawyer, as far as I know. So what? The money's coming to me. Just handle the paperwork. But Liam's inheritance is quiet. Just do as I say and stop talking. I understand. I ended up doing all the paperwork for the inheritance myself. Isabella is just as careless and lazy as Amelia. By law, the estate, house, and cash should have been divided among Amelia, Isabella, and Jackson according to Liam's will. But Isabella had other ideas. What? Do we need to get the house and land appraised? And then I get a quarter? That's such a hassle. Just waive my inheritance this time. I'll deal with it all when Mom passes. And with that, she opted out of the inheritance. For the past 16 years, I've done all the work jobs, housework, and caregiving for Amelia. Now that I'm over 50, I'm finding it harder to manage caregiving on my own. So I decided to bring it up with Amelia and Isabella. I'm over 50 now, and caregiving alone is becoming too much for me. Would you be able to help, even just on weekends, Isabella? Me? Caregiving? Absolutely not. Sure, we live nearby, but I've got kids, and I need to take care of them on my days off. That's right. Isabella has her family. She can't come here. And caregiving is the son's wife's duty. If caregiving is the son's wife's duty, then shouldn't the daughter share that responsibility too? And if that's not possible, we should consider hiring help or using adult day services. I don't want strangers touching me. And adult day services? That's just a waste of money. We're not doing that. How cruel of you, Evelyn, to suggest leaving Mom in the hands of strangers. I can't believe you'd think that way. That's not what I meant. I'm not hiring anyone, and I'm not spending money on adult day services. End of discussion. Defeated by the two of them, I resigned myself to continuing caregiving alone. The next day, as I was making lunch, I received a call from Jackson. Mom, how are you doing? I'm doing well. How about you? I'm good too. That's great to hear. So what's going on today? There's something I need to talk about. It's not something I want anyone else to overhear. So I was hoping we could meet at a nearby cafe. Normally, when Jackson wanted to talk, he'd come to the house. But if he felt he couldn't talk here, it must be about Amelia. All right. There's a small cafe nearby that's privately owned. How about there? Yeah, that sounds good. Send me the location later. How about tomorrow morning? That works for me. Let's meet there tomorrow morning. I told him I was looking forward to it and ended the call. Amelia tends to act annoyed whenever I leave the house, so I was sure she'd say something this time too. Amelia, I'll be going out tomorrow for a bit of shopping. I might get back a little late. There's no need to go so far just for shopping. The store has a big sale on household items. Everything's really cheap. Is that so? Well, if that's the case, I suppose it's fine. But don't dawdle and come straight back. I ended up lying to Amelia, but I felt relieved to have gotten her permission to go out. The next day, I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early. Arriving ahead of time has always been a habit of mine. Jackson hadn't arrived yet. I informed the staff that I was meeting someone and took a seat by the window, ordering a drink. How long had it been since I last enjoyed a moment like this in a cafe? Since starting to care for Amelia, I hadn't had the chance to spend such peaceful time outside. A little while later, I saw Jackson through the window. Sorry, Mom, I'm late. Don't worry about it. Are you tired? I've already ordered a drink, so why don't you get something too? As I spoke, Jackson looked at the menu and placed his order. We started with some light, casual conversation, but as the chatter faded, Jackson hesitated before saying, this might be hard to say, but, Mom, are you and Grandma not getting along? His question caught me off guard, and I felt at a loss for words. I couldn't vent about Amelia to Jackson. Why do you ask? Actually, Grandma called me a little while ago. The entire conversation was just her complaining about you, saying you were harassing her, and all sorts of things. Not content with bad-mouthing me to my face, Amelia had even called Jackson to speak ill of me. Well, I suppose you deserve to know. The truth is, I'm not the one harassing her. It's the other way around. So you're not harassing Grandma, are you, Mom? Jackson, you believe me. Of course I do. What Grandma said didn't add up. It was full of contradictions, so I didn't believe her for a second. Thank you for trusting me. Just so you know, I've been keeping records of everything Amelia says and does to me. If anything ever happens, I plan to use this as evidence. With that, I pulled a notebook out of my bag. I handed it to Jackson. I had been keeping a diary since before moving into the in-laws' house. After we started living together, and the harassment from Amelia and Isabella began, I started documenting everything they said and did to me. The notebook served as evidence, so I couldn't leave it at the in-laws' house where Amelia or Isabella might find and dispose of it. As a result, I always carried it with me. Though carrying several notebooks was cumbersome, it was worth the inconvenience to keep them safe. Jackson picked up one of the notebooks and began to read. His eyes widened in shock. Mom, has this been going on since Dad passed away? Yes, it has. Everything written in there is the truth, I said, watching as Jackson fell silent, deep in thought. For a moment, I wondered if the truth was too much for him to handle. I started to regret showing him the notebook, but that regret quickly disappeared. Even after all this, why are you still taking care of Grandma? Because it was a promise I made to Aiden. Even if it was Dad's request, this is just too much. Jackson then looked me directly in the eyes. There was a strength and determination in his gaze that I hadn't seen before. Mom, I have an idea. When Jackson shared his plan, I was shocked, but I decided to go along with it. However, Amelia called me multiple times. Ignoring her wasn't an option, so I finally picked up. What are you doing? What's wrong? I told you I'd be a little late today. It's way too late. What about my dinner? I left it on the table. I told you earlier to help yourself. I don't remember that. Get home immediately and prepare my dinner. She continued ranting, but I cut her off with a quick acknowledgement before hanging up. I'm sorry, I have to go now. Don't worry, we can continue the conversation over the phone or through text. That would be a big help. Thank you. With that, I parted ways with Jackson and headed home. As soon as I walked in, Amelia's angry voice greeted me. Evelyn, you're finally back. Hurry up and make my dinner. I'm home. I'll get it ready right away, so please wait a moment. I quickly prepared her meal and brought it to her room. You're always so slow, no matter what I ask you to do. I'm sorry. Never mind. Just finished setting the table already. I moved the table closer to her bed and arranged her meal on it. Amelia was particular about how her food was arranged, and if I didn't do it properly, she would surely complain. Amelia, it's ready. I'll be in the living room, so just call me when you're finished. With that, I left Amelia's room. I needed to start preparing to carry out what Jackson had suggested. However, I had to proceed carefully, making sure neither Amelia or Isabella would notice. Slowly, little by little, I moved forward while continuing to endure their harassment and gather evidence. A few months later, the moment finally came, catching me by surprise. Isabella was visiting, and she was talking with Amelia in her room. As I brought in Amelia's meal, she spoke to me. "Evelyn, there's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" "When I pass away, this house and my inheritance will remain, won't they?" "Yes, that's correct. I've decided to leave everything, the house and the inheritance, to Isabella, my only precious family." Her sudden declaration left me speechless. Why was she bringing this up now? I had never discussed inheritance with her. I never expected her to leave anything to me, knowing how she was. Why bring up inheritance all of a sudden? "Because you're an outsider. Only a fool would leave their inheritance to someone who isn't family," she continued with a smug look on her face. But I didn't feel sad or disappointed about not receiving the inheritance. In fact, her timing couldn't have been better. When I stayed silent, Amelia seemed to mistake my reaction for shock, and her expression twisted into a malicious grin. "As if you'd ever inherit anything from me. Did you actually think you would? Don't get any ideas just because you've been taking care of me. You won't get anything." Amelia and Isabella were likely reveling in their shared sense of superiority as they mocked me. But I smiled at Amelia and said, "I completely agree. That's why I'm leaving today." "What? Excuse me? Leaving? What do you mean by that?" "Exactly what I said. I'm moving out today and into a new place." The shock on Amelia and Isabella's faces was almost comical. This was Jackson's plan. Since Jackson had invited me to live with him, I didn't have to go through the trouble of finding a new home. "You can't do that." "Exactly. Aiden asked you to take care of Mom. Are you just going to ignore his request?" It was true that Aiden had asked me to look after Amelia. However, I had already spent 16 years longer than my married life taking care of Amelia. Perhaps it was time to start thinking about my own happiness. With that in mind, I decided to follow Jackson's suggestion. "You're right. Aiden did ask me to care for Amelia, but Isabella lives nearby, and you can manage without me. Isabella has been visiting frequently, hasn't she? If she has the time to visit so often, she can take over Amelia's care. In fact, I'll leave so you can live here together." "What? I'm not doing caregiving. That's the job of the son's wife. It's your responsibility. But caregiving is legally the responsibility of the biological children." That meant Isabella was the one obligated to take care of Amelia. That's not true. Besides, I've already filed the paperwork with the family court to sever my legal ties with this family. "When did you?" Amelia seemed ready to argue further, but the sound of the doorbell interrupted her. Who could that be at a time like this? She grumbled as she headed to the door. I heard the sound of the door opening, followed by voices arguing. Moments later, footsteps echoed down the hall. "Mom, I'm here to pick you up." The voice belonged to Jackson. "You're early, Jackson." Perfect timing. I haven't finished packing my last bag yet. Could you wait just a bit longer? Of course. Do you need help? No, it's fine. With that, I went to my room. Since I had been moving things gradually to Jackson's place, I only had one suitcase left to pack. I finished packing the suitcase I had prepared earlier, the room I had lived in for 16 years. Despite the conflicts with Amelia, there were still memories here. It would have been nice to take those memories with me, but such a thing was impossible. I finished packing the last of my belongings and took one final look around the room. The joy of being freed from Amelia and Isabella, mixed with the sadness of leaving behind a place I'd lived in for so long. I stepped out of my room. "Jackson, I'm ready. Shall we go?" I wasn't waiting. "Is that all your luggage?" Let me carry it for you." He took the bag from my hand. "Amelia, Isabella, thank you for everything up until now. From now on, you'll have to work together as a family to get by." I placed the house key on the table. Jackson and I walked toward the door. Even as we left the house, there was no sign of anyone trying to stop us. I climbed into the passenger seat. "All right, let's get going. You didn't forget anything, did you?" "No, I'm fine. I've already moved all the important things to your place. And even if I forgot something now, it wouldn't be worth going back for." "Good to hear." And so, Jackson and I left the in-laws' house behind. "Mom, you did so well. 16 years. That's incredible." "Thank you. Honestly, I wish I'd heard some words of gratitude from them." "That's unlikely. To them, you were nothing more than a housekeeper." "You're probably right. From now on, prioritize yourself. Live your life without being tied down by anyone." That's exactly what I plan to do. I had finally gained my freedom. When I arrived at Jackson's house, a wave of exhaustion suddenly overwhelmed me, and I ended up bedridden for 2 days. Once I recovered, I immediately contacted the lawyer who had handled Aiden and Liam's wills to proceed with a claim for damages against Amelia and Isabella. The lawyer determined I had sufficient evidence, as I had meticulously documented their harassment in my diaries and recordings. What she had done to me went far beyond mere snide remarks. As for Isabella, she had frequently entered my room without permission, stealing my clothes and jewelry. I had even recorded video evidence of her actions. The lawyer later informed me that formal demand letters had been sent to both Amelia and Isabella. All that was left was to wait for their payment. However, days passed, and no payment was made. When I contacted the lawyer, I learned that both Amelia and Isabella were refusing to pay and insisting on a reduction in the amount. But I had no intention of agreeing to a reduction. I left everything in the lawyer's hands. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, my smartphone suddenly rang. When I looked at the screen, I saw Jackson's name. I wondered if a sudden meeting had come up and Jackson wouldn't need dinner. With that thought, I answered his call. "Hello, what's wrong?" "Mom, I'm so glad you picked up." Jackson sounded out of breath, like he had been running. "Why are you so out of breath? What happened?" Actually, what Jackson told me was shocking. As he was leaving work, someone linked arms with him. Startled, he looked over to see Isabella standing there, stunned into silence. He listened as she said, "I finally found you. Evelyn is demanding damages from me. Do something about it." How did she know where he worked? Then I remembered that when Jackson got the job, I had told Amelia about it. She must have remembered and passed the information on to Isabella. "Step away. Mom is seeking damages because of the emotional distress you and Amelia caused her. You need to take responsibility and pay," Jackson had told her. "Emotional distress. That's my line." Isabella had snapped back, refusing to pay, and even threatening to file her own claim. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Yeah, I left because she wasn't making any sense. I think I'm fine, but just in case, I'm planning to stay at a hotel tonight." "That sounds like a good idea. She might have figured out where you live, so make sure the house is secure. Call me if anything happens." "I will. You take care too, Jackson." With that, I ended the call. I never thought Isabella would go as far as to confront Jackson in person. Amelia, being unable to walk without assistance, was unlikely to come herself. I went around the house, checking that all the windows and doors were locked. Staying in the house alone under such circumstances was unsettling, but I couldn't ask Jackson to come back. That night, I struggled to sleep and didn't go to bed until late. The next morning, I called Jackson to let him know nothing had happened overnight. Maybe she only knows where my workplace is, Jackson speculated. I'm thinking of consulting the lawyer about this, I replied. That's probably a good idea, but I've got an important meeting this morning. I'll come home as soon as it's done, so please stay in the house until then. All right, I'll wait for you. I checked the area outside from my window, but saw nothing suspicious. A few hours later, I heard the sound of the front door opening. I'm back. Let's head out now, Jackson said. We left the house, making sure to lock the door behind us. As we were about to get into the car, I heard a voice shout, "I found you." Turning toward the sound, I saw Isabella standing there. It's a good thing I decided to stake out Jackson's office this morning. I lost him yesterday because he ran, but today, he didn't even notice me. Following you here was easy, she said, laughing. Staking out his workplace since morning, her persistence was unbelievable. Mom, I'm sorry. I never thought she'd be there that early, Jackson said apologetically. I guess it can't be helped. I wouldn't expect anyone to anticipate she'd stake out your workplace since morning, I said. Exactly. Now, Evelyn, I have something to discuss with you, Isabella interrupted. Yesterday, Jackson told me about it. It's about the damages, isn't it? I replied calmly. Hearing this, Isabella glared at me. That's right. Since you already know, let's make this quick. Drop the claim for damages. Why should I? For 16 years after Aiden passed, I endured your harassment while taking care of Amelia. It was pure agony. All I'm asking for is to be compensated for that suffering. We were merely teaching you the responsibilities of being Aiden's wife. Calling that harassment is ridiculous, and those so-called teachings caused me immense emotional distress. Can you compensate for that distress in any way other than financially? Well, Isabella was at a loss for words, though she continued to glare at me. But her glare didn't intimidate me in the slightest. So an apology will suffice then, she sneered. Do you really think your apology holds that much value? I asked. What did you just say? Of course, it does. This is unbelievable. Let me make it clear, your apology is worth absolutely nothing. You're such an insolent little. Isabella yelled as she grabbed a nearby potted plant and lunged at Jackson. Jackson, watch out, I screamed. However, Jackson calmly subdued Isabella as she charged toward him. As it turns out, Jackson has trained in judo as a form of self-defense since he was a child. Although his busy work schedule rarely allows him to practice these days, he still visits the dojo whenever he has free time. Mom, call the police, Jackson commanded. Snapped back to reality by his voice, I fumbled to retrieve my smartphone and dialed the police. Let go of me. I didn't do anything. Don't you dare touch me, Isabella shouted, hurling insults at Jackson. I've contacted the police. They said they'll be here shortly. Can you handle her until then? Is there anything I can do to help? I asked. I've got this, Mom. Just wait by the road so you can guide the officers here when they arrive, Jackson replied firmly. All right, but let me know if you need anything, I said, moving toward the road. A few minutes later, the sound of sirens echoed in the distance. I stood by the road, signaling the officers as they arrived. During this time, Isabella continued to scream insults at Jackson. Don't you dare call the police. I'm not in the wrong. I'm not. The officers restrained Isabella and escorted her to their vehicle. Jackson and I followed them to the station to give our statements. By the time everything was resolved and we left the police station, it was already dark. It's so dark outside now, I said, glancing at the sky. Who knew giving a statement would take so long? It was an eye-opening experience, Jackson replied. I'd heard about it before, but I didn't expect it to take this long. Let's visit the lawyer tomorrow. It's too late now, I suggested. Good idea. I've cleared my morning schedule, so we can go first thing tomorrow. Jackson agreed. Exhausted, we both fell asleep as soon as we got home. The next day, Jackson and I visited the lawyer. We detailed everything that had happened, Isabella staking out Jackson's workplace, following him home, and attempting to throw a potted plant at him. Although Isabella's actions didn't result in any physical harm, the lawyer confirmed that a restraining order could be issued against her. Additionally, the new incidents would be added to our claim for damages. According to the lawyer, Isabella had arrogantly remarked, "With Dad's inheritance, I can easily pay this off." However, neither Emilian or Isabella had taken the time to review the inheritance paperwork themselves, as they had left the entire process to me. They likely had no idea what they actually inherited. Liam's inheritance consisted solely of debt. Unbeknownst to Amelia, Liam had been secretly gambling, amassing loans from various financial institutions. The total debt had reached $100,000. I didn't advise Amelia to renounce the inheritance, because doing so would have required selling the house. While I lived with them, I had been the one covering the payments, but since I had ended our cohabitation, I was no longer obligated to pay. Not that I ever truly was, in the first place. On top of gambling, Liam had also been frequenting pubs. It seemed he had used the house as collateral for additional loans, so the in-laws' house would likely be foreclosed eventually. A few weeks after Isabella's outburst, thanks to the lawyer's efforts, I was able to collect the full damages from both Amelia and Isabella. After paying the damages, she apparently filed for bankruptcy. She contacted the lawyer, saying she wanted to meet me in person and apologize, but I refused because I didn't want to see her. She was probably hoping to ask me for money. Although she reached out a few more times, I continued to refuse, and eventually the calls stopped altogether. As for Isabella, when Caleb found out about the damages, he filed for divorce. Isabella tried to plead and refused the divorce, but she was ultimately thrown out of the house. Naturally, Caleb was awarded custody of the children and began demanding monthly child support payments from Isabella. With damages and child support combined, her financial burden must be immense. Isabella apparently attempted to gain custody of the children, but since Caleb had been their primary caregiver, the children chose to stay with him. Given how often Isabella had visited the in-laws' house alone, it was clear she had done very little parenting. It was her own doing. Isabella also contacted my lawyer, but just like with Amelia's calls, I refused to respond. Now Isabella reportedly lives alone in a small, cheap apartment. Amelia has also moved into a different unit in the same apartment complex, though I've heard their lives are quite difficult. It no longer concerns me since I've received the full damages owed to me. With the damages from Amelia and Isabella, I've decided to use the money to move into an assisted living facility. I told Jackson, "You could always stay here. You don't have to leave." Jackson replied, "I can't do that. If you get a girlfriend, get married, and have kids, I'll only make things harder for your wife. Then I'll find a girlfriend who's fine with living with you." "How about that?" Jackson said, grinning. "That's not the point, Jackson. Assisted living facilities are really wonderful places. I can't move in just yet, so I'll stay with you until then," I explained. "That's perfectly fine, Mom," Jackson reassured me. "Thank you. I hope I'm not inconveniencing you." "Not at all. Hey, how about we visit that assisted living facility together sometime? That way, I can hear about it firsthand and feel reassured," he suggested. "That sounds like a good idea," I agreed. 16 years of caregiving. Those years were grueling and harsh, but I don't see them as wasted. Those 16 years shaped the person I am today. Although I didn't see Amelia's caregiving through to the very end, I devoted 16 years of my life to it. That should be enough to fulfill the promise I made to Aiden. At least, I want to believe it is. From now on, I will live for myself, without interference from anyone else. I spoke to Aiden's photograph, telling him that I'm living happily now. Sometime later, I met someone very special, but that's a story for another day. My name is Mila, and I'm 42 years old. My husband, Drew, has been my classmate since high school. We have twin daughters, Treasure and Sandy, who are 16 years old. It was during a routine checkup that we found out we were having twins. Both of them grew up healthy and happy, and this spring, they started enjoying their first year of high school. Having girls around makes every day lively and full of energy. Dad, I want this outfit for my birthday. Can you buy it for me? I want this cosmetic pouch. All right. Twins mean double the requests. It's tough being a parent, since they're teenage girls. I used to worry about Drew's relationship with them, but they get along so well that all my worries vanished. But an event happened that shattered our family dynamic. Lately, I couldn't help but notice that Drew was coming home late every night. At first, I thought it was overtime work and didn't question it. One day, while at the mall, I ran into one of his coworkers and casually asked about it. She said all the employees leave work on time every day. I wondered if he might be stopping by his mother's house, so I called my mother-in-law, Mila, to check. But she said he hadn't visited even once. Days of growing suspicion went by, until one night when Drew said he had something to talk about. What is it? Is it about you coming home late recently? His expression was unusually serious, making me nervous. Looking straight at me, he dropped a bombshell. I'm having an affair. What? An affair? What are you talking about all of a sudden? My heart started pounding violently. Cold sweat ran down my body, and my mind went completely blank. There's a coworker of mine, Nanny, who's a year older than me. What? Nanny? She was the coworker I happened to meet at the grocery store not long ago. When I asked her why Drew was coming home late, she casually replied, "All the employees leave on time every day." At the time, I thought she was just answering normally, but now it felt like she was asserting her superiority. As I pieced together Drew's confession and my conversation with her, everything started to make sense. I'm divorcing you and marrying her. After 15 years of marriage, my husband confessed to having an affair with his attractive coworker, but that wasn't the only shocking revelation. And I have a son in 6th grade. He would be Treasure and Sandy's half-brother. What? A child? A half-brother? I felt like I was about to faint right then and there. Wait a minute. Are you saying you've had a secret child? Yes. A 6th grader means he's 12, right? How long have you been having this affair? About 12 years. 12 years. I couldn't believe it. He had been betraying me for 12 years. Our daughters are now 16, which means he started this affair when they were just 4 years old. I never noticed a thing. That's how good he was at pretending everything was fine, even as he remained close to our daughters and kept our family life seemingly perfect. You're saying you want a divorce, but what about Treasure and Sandy? What's going to happen to them? They'll be adults in 2 years, right? So I'll leave them in your care, Mila. Leave them with me. Raising kids is something we're supposed to do together. Next year, my son Andrew will be taking his middle school entrance exams. I'm fully focused on that, and it's going to cost a lot of money to support him. But don't worry, I'll pay child support. I'll also provide compensation for the divorce settlement with you, Mila. And if Treasure and Sandy want to see me, I'll be there. We'll live in separate homes, but my relationship with the girls won't change. That's not the point here, Drew. Whatever you say, I'm leaving. It's no use trying to stop me. Here, this is the divorce petition. What? Did you prepare this all on your own? I've filled out my part. Finish it up and file it, Mila. Wait, hold on. Oh, and I'll tell my mom about this. From now on, don't contact my family anymore. What? Why? Wait, Drew, please. It was the middle of the night, and my shouting woke up the girls. What's going on? Why are you yelling this late? Mom, are you crying? Your dad. He's gone. What? What do you mean? Your dad. He's been having an affair. An affair? Dad, I didn't think he had the guts for something like that. And also, he told me you have a half-brother in 6th grade. It felt wrong to share this with my daughters, but the pain of Drew's betrayal was too overwhelming. I couldn't hold back. I told them everything. Is Dad never coming back? Probably not. I assume everything he needs is already set up at his mistress's house. That prepared. Really, it's not that simple. Apparently, he's been having this affair for 12 years. He's been living 2 lives all this time. I see. Did Dad at least apologize to you? Well, not really. He just told me, left the divorce papers, and walked out. That's unacceptable. Apologizing should have been the first thing he did. Did he talk about compensation for the divorce caused by the affair? He said he'd pay child support and compensation for the divorce settlement. He also said he'd meet with you if you wanted. He said he'd pay. Did he mention any specific amounts? No, it was just a verbal promise. Verbal promises are worthless. You need to get it in writing. Oh, I didn't even think of that. I don't know what to do. We've been completely played, haven't we? Yeah, totally. Treasure and Sandy exchanged glances, deep in thought. To be honest, our daughters are twins, with IQs ranking in the top 1 or 2 nationally. After learning about Drew's affair and his betrayal of me, they made up their minds. Let's ruin his life. And so began the astonishing revenge plot by our genius twins. By the following week, Drew had turned into a completely unrecognizable mess. Mom, we're going to get back at Dad. Wait, what? What are you planning to do? The next day, the girls approached me with determination in their eyes. Are you really okay with letting him get away with this? Of course not. But what can I even do? Don't worry, Mom. Just leave it to us and do what we tell you. Wait. No, I can't let you get involved. I don't want to burden you too. It's not a burden. It's not like we're going to harm him. We just want to teach him a lesson. Because it's not just you he betrayed, it's us too. That's awful, isn't it? Reluctantly, I let them take the lead. And the very next day, things started to unfold. On Monday evening, while I was preparing dinner as usual, the front door suddenly flew open. Drew stormed in, breathing heavily and looking completely exhausted. What on earth? Why are you barging in like this, making so much noise? What do you mean, what on earth? I told you not to contact my family, but you ignored me and told my mom about the divorce. Why would you do that? Wait, what? I didn't contact your family or talk to her at all. That can't be true. Proof of it is that she stormed into my workplace, chased me down, and nearly found out where I live now. I had no idea what Drew was talking about. As Drew continued to accuse me despite my insistence that I didn't know anything, we suddenly heard voices from the doorway. What's going on? Why are you shouting so loudly? Yay, seriously, we could hear you all the way outside. Just then, the girls arrived home from school. Dad says Mom contacted Grandma Mila, but Mom says she didn't. Now he's mad at her for no reason. Well, who else could have contacted her if not you? Oh, about that we called her. What? You two contacted her? Dad disappeared all of a sudden, so we thought it was important to let her know. Wait, you're saying it was you two who called Mila? Thank you for doing that. Thank you. That's not the point. You know how much I despise my mom. How could you do this? We know, but since you're divorcing Mom, she's no longer your wife, and Mila is still our grandmother. How can you expect us not to contact her at all? Mom's right, Dad. Divorce isn't just about you two. We have a relationship with our grandma too, and we don't want to lose that. Exactly. Besides, telling us not to contact her is just selfish. You're being completely unreasonable. I've told you before, after my dad passed away, it was just my mom and me, and it was really tough. She's incredibly strict and hates dishonesty. If I ever messed up, she'd make me pay for it. One time in high school, I skipped class, and when she found out, she chased me down on her bike and tied me to a telephone pole for everyone to see. That kind of thing traumatized me. That's why I'm begging you don't contact her anymore. But isn't that your own fault for skipping school? Yay, she sounds like someone who values honesty and discipline. Totally, that actually fits her character. Please, just listen to me. I'm begging you. He seems to genuinely dislike his mother. It's not just dislike, he's absolutely terrified of her. For a man in his 40s to be this scared of his mother is almost childish. By the way, Dad, even if you're divorcing Mom, isn't it terrible to leave without saying a word to us? Are you avoiding us because you're ashamed of your affair? You're right. I should have said something. I'm sorry. 12 years of cheating. That's unbelievable. And we have a half-brother. Leaving like this makes it seem like you care about him more than us. That's not true. You two are incredibly important to me. If we're so important, why did you cheat? If we matter, you should have talked things through with Mom and then told us face to face. I truly regret everything. I should have explained everything to you earlier. For now, I'll leave. You still haven't discussed child support or divorce compensation, have you? You need to set up a time to talk to Mom about it soon. All right, I'll handle it. I promise. See you. Once again, I was reminded of how powerful words can be when wielded by teenage girls. Treasure and Sandy cornered Drew so effectively that he couldn't wait to leave the house, fleeing as if to escape their relentless questioning. By the way, about Mila, did you two really contact her? Curious about the details, I asked the girls. Yeah, we did. Actually, we went to Grandma's house. And let me tell you, her reaction was something. The girls explained how they told her about Drew's affair, which triggered her fury. That idiot. Betraying his wonderful wife and precious granddaughters. Who is he cheating with? Someone from his workplace, apparently. A coworker. Yep. And she even had a casual conversation with Mom at the grocery store. Drew is one thing, but that woman. Absolutely unforgivable. And not only that, he left without finalizing child support or divorce compensation. It's all verbal, and he hasn't even set any amounts. What? Unbelievable. So he cheats, then expects to just leave everything hanging. And he doesn't even face Treasure and Sandy before disappearing. Oh, and we have a half-brother now, too. What? That's it, I'm going to his workplace right now. The girls said that as soon as Mila heard the story, she flew into a rage, stormed out of her house, and headed straight for Drew's workplace. While she was confronting Drew, the girls came back home. They must have just missed each other. As Drew arrived at the house before them, thinking back, I noticed Drew's shirt collar was stretched and rumpled. His hair was messy, looking nothing like his usual office style. It wasn't hard to imagine that Mila had nearly beaten him to a pulp before he managed to flee the office. So that's why you asked what Dad's biggest fear was back then. Bingo, you got it. After hearing stories from you about Dad and Mila when he was a kid, we figured it out. When Dad told us not to contact her before leaving, Sandy and I knew we were right. That's why we went to see her. Mila's always been so calm in front of us, so we thought we'd test it by mentioning Dad. She completely changed right before our eyes. As soon as we finished talking, she headed straight for Dad. That's when we knew Mila was the one thing Dad was truly scared of. So that's how it all came together. I remembered the story Drew once told me about skipping school as a teenager. When Mila found out, she chased him down on her bike, tied him to a telephone pole, and made an example of him in front of the neighborhood. What he left out, however, was the part where he had hidden in the attic to avoid being caught. It reminded me of how he had tried to escape the consequences of his affair by running away. But when he accidentally made a noise, Mila discovered him. She used a broom to prod him out of hiding, and once their eyes met, Drew bolted. However, Mila caught him with her bike, dragged him back, and tied him up. It seems Mila prefers her bicycle over a car, and I've heard her speed rivals that of a professional cyclist. Well, our first step of revenge was a success. Time to move on to the next plan. Actually, I found an excellent attorney. Wait, an attorney? Isn't that going to cost a lot of money? Don't worry about that. With that, the girls handed me a piece of paper detailing the attorney's fees, considering the child support and the compensation we'll get from Dad and his mistress in the divorce settlement. This attorney's fees are nothing to worry about. We've already spoken to the attorney and hired a private investigator they recommended to gather evidence of Dad's affair. A private investigator? How are we going to afford that? That'll be included in the divorce compensation too, so there's no problem. And guess what? Thanks to the investigator, we found out where Dad and his mistress are living. Wait, seriously? Yep. So this Saturday, the three of us are going there. Looks like we'll finally meet the mistress and our half-brother. Are you sure this bold move is okay? What if they find out and try to sue us instead? Gathering evidence is key to suing someone for an affair. To prove infidelity and the existence of a hidden child, we need solid evidence. The investigator has already collected quite a bit, but the more evidence we have, the better. We need to take action too. Don't worry, Mom. Just come along and follow our lead. We won't do anything that could get us in trouble. And if anyone's suing, it'll be us. All right, I trust you. Saturday morning arrived. The investigator had informed us that Drew would be out. I was shocked to learn that the investigator had even planted a listening device. Drew and his mistress lived surprisingly close by, which made me angry that I hadn't noticed sooner. The thought of them carrying out their affair so close to home made my anger burn even hotter. We hid in the parking lot of a high-rise apartment building, watching as the three of them walked out together. We followed them carefully, staying hidden behind cars, all the way to Drew's vehicle. So that's the woman who betrayed us. Oh, her? That's definitely Nanny. I spoke with her at the mall. She's the coworker Dad mentioned, right? Yay. When I asked her at the mall if Dad had been working late, she said he hadn't. She was totally flexing on you. Now that I think about it, her smile was a little creepy. She was probably trying to say, "Your Drew is at my house. How awful. And that must be our half-brother." For a sixth grader, he sure acts full of himself. As the three of them got into their car, they rolled the windows down and started talking. "So when are you finally going to get divorced?" "I'm working on it. I need to handle things with my daughters first." Andrew's going to take his middle school entrance exams soon. You need to take care of the paperwork before that. I'll make sure it's done by then. Dad, I'm your top priority. Right, of course, Andrew. You're the most important to me. Then cut ties with those two daughters. Don't say you care about them just as much as you care about me. I won't. You're my favorite, Andrew. Don't worry. See, Andrew, soon enough, those nuisances will be out of the way. Just hang in there a little longer. I'm sorry, okay, fine. Just make sure nothing gets in the way of my exams. All right. Nothing will interfere, I promise. Sandy successfully recorded their entire conversation. While Drew and his mistress's audacity shocked me, I was even more appalled by the half-brother's attitude. He didn't seem like a typical 12-year-old at all. No matter how stressed he was about his exams, his arrogance was astounding. Well, I'm glad we came today. We managed to record their conversation, so now we have more evidence. Still, that kid is unbelievably entitled. I'm so stunned by his attitude, I can't even find the words. While we were still reeling from the half-brother's behavior, Drew and his mistress continued talking. We're not actually going to pay child support for the daughters, right? Of course not. Andrew is my priority. When the divorce is finalized, you'll cut ties with those daughters, won't you? Yes, I will. Stop repeating yourself. Well, I don't trust you. You're too good at lying. Hey, Andrew, what are you saying? Treasure and Sandy are your sisters, after all. Being on good terms with them might benefit you someday. Nothing good can come from associating with the children of his ex-wife. Don't lump me in with my low-class sisters. I'm always at the top of my class, acing every test and solving the hardest problems. There's no way I could get along with loud, annoying high schoolers. Wow, well, you're not wrong. My daughters are incredibly noisy. Honestly, they're ridiculously noisy. I'd come home exhausted, and there they'd be, screeching and chatting nonstop. To be honest, I often thought their heads were full of nothing but flowers. And to make it worse, my wife would join in, and the three of them would keep going. There was never any peace or rest in that house. Oh my, that sounds terrible. In comparison, Andrew is mature and focused on his studies. He doesn't chatter on like those three. Being away from them these past few days has been so refreshing. So you don't even think they're cute anymore? Of course not. They're just ugly brats. You're awful. What a terrible man. Treasure managed to record this conversation, but their expressions turned dark immediately. Hearing their father talk like that about them was understandably heartbreaking. Because they had always been close, the betrayal hurt even more. Seeing the sadness on my daughters' faces, I acted without thinking. Before I even realized it, I was standing in front of their car. The car looked like it was about to move. And Drew stared at me in shock. Hey, you jerk. Enough is enough. Mila, why are you here? Get out of the car. Both of you. To the mistress and the illegitimate child. Mom, is that really your voice? I didn't know you could shout like that. I didn't fully understand it myself, but hearing my daughters insulted had unleashed everything I had been holding back. Treasure and Sandy were stunned but cheered me on. Wait, what's going on? How did you and the girls find us? What's happening? I thought this location was supposed to be private. This is a breach of privacy. The girls hired a private investigator to find your hideout. What? You two again? Stop meddling, you kids. What does age have to do with it? We're family, so we want to help Mom. And you need to take responsibility, Dad. Responsibility. The divorce papers have already been filed, so you and I are no longer married. Well, that's good. But you will pay compensation for your affair. and child support for her daughters. This is the invoice for the divorce settlement compensation. And this one is for the child support. The official documents will be sent to you by our lawyer shortly. What invoices? How can you send me these without even discussing it first? Because you kept avoiding sitting down with Mom to discuss it. So we hired a top-notch lawyer to handle the child support and compensation claims. Wait, $30K. That's outrageous. Child support is calculated until we turn 18. For the next 2 years, you'll deposit $300 per child each month, $600 total. Isn't child support usually based on income? Apparently, $300 per child is the average amount. Wait, are you saying your income is actually low, Dad? See, I told you he might lie. Oh, and by the way, we've also filed a claim for compensation against you, the mistress. This is your invoice. The official version will be mailed by the lawyer, just like Dad's. Why should I have to pay $30K? That's ridiculous. Both Drew and his mistress looked utterly defeated by the sudden appearance of me and my daughters, as well as the hefty $30K compensation claims and the monthly child support payments. Meanwhile, the arrogant half-brother remained calm, observing the situation quietly. First, Dad's confession revealed his affair, but it's been going on for 12 years. Mom spent all those years unaware that Dad was deceiving her. On top of that, Dad had a secret child, and Mom didn't find out until now. That's 12 years of betrayal during their marriage. And since we're still minors, child support is mandatory. We're 16 now, so Dad is legally obligated to pay child support for both of us until we turn 18. I can't pay that much money. It's impossible. I don't have that kind of money either. Wait, didn't you recently say you got a high-paying job at a trading company? Who said anything about a trading company? Who said I'm an elite with a high salary? I've been working sales at a canned goods factory. Another lie. Well, there are reasons. Let me explain. Don't give me that. So you've been lying all along. Actually, Drew still works at that canned goods factory. What? But he said he left the factory to get a better job for Andrew's middle school tuition. Drew and his mistress had originally been co-workers at the company where their affair began. At some point, Drew disappeared from his sales position at the company. As the two bickered, I stepped in to explain the reason. I barged into your company after finding out about your affair. Mom. Wait, what? Why are you here? How? We called Mila earlier, said the girls. We figured she should have the final word on this, they added. The sight of Mila, Drew's most hated person, made his face go pale. She arrived at an astonishing speed, riding her beloved bicycle as though she were in a race. Drew trembled, while the mistress looked utterly confused. Mila, I'm so sorry. It's all right. I'm here to protect Mila and my precious granddaughters. Thank you so much. Did you forget that my granddaughters are twins with IQs ranked first and second in the nation? Twins with IQs ranked first and second in the nation. No one told me that. Oh, great. They're really my half-sisters, huh? Now you understand how they managed to be so thorough. It's unfortunate you weren't around, Nanny, but I went to your company and exposed your entire affair. Thanks to that, Drew was demoted to basement janitorial work and fired from his sales position. When you weren't around, he lied and said he'd changed jobs, but in reality, he was just showing up at the basement. That's why everyone at work was acting distant. They told me I could keep my job if I agreed to move to the basement, as long as Nanny wasn't fired. It was my granddaughters, with their brilliant IQs, who sent me to the company, hired the lawyer and investigator, and filed the claims for child support and divorce compensation. Even at this point, Drew tried to argue. But wait, even if you exposed the affair and filed for compensation, wouldn't the claims be dismissed without solid evidence? Yeah, exactly. Without proof, there's no need to pay any compensation, right? Didn't you hear that we hired a lawyer and a private investigator? The investigator provided us with a mountain of evidence proving your affair. The girls pulled out a stack of photos and tossed them on the table. There were pictures of Drew and Nanny holding hands, kissing, and even having picnics together with the boy. We also have audio recordings. Would you like to hear them? They waved a voice recorder in front of Drew and Nanny. Oh, but if you listen to this, it might set Mila off, they teased. No, please don't play it. Anything but that. Then quietly agree to pay the child support and compensation. Fine, I'll pay. All right, we'll pay. Happy now? Dad, apologize to Mom properly. You too, Nanny. Apologize now, or we'll spread these photos all over the neighborhood. All the neighborhood women are on my side, you know. I'm so sorry. Truly, I am. Nanny, apologize right now. Just do it. I'm sorry. Well, Dad and Nanny have been utterly defeated. Our big sisters are amazing, said Andrew, still in shock. Confused by the situation, Nanny asked, but why is Mila so scary? Treasure smirked and hit play on the voice recorder. Being away from those three these past few days has been so refreshing. So you don't even think they're cute anymore? Of course not. They're just ugly brats. Drew glanced nervously at Mila, but it was already too late. Drew, Mila shouted. Help me. Drew screamed as he ran at full speed. Mila hopped on her bike and chased after him with incredible speed. No way. Nanny and Andrew stood frozen, their faces pale. Watching them, my daughters and I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Later, Mila stepped in and paid the divorce compensation on Drew's behalf. Being a wealthy landowner in the area, she had the means to cover the cost. However, this made Drew completely dependent on Mila, unable to escape her grasp. He now has to pay child support to us while repaying Mila in installments over several decades. If you miss a payment, I'll tie you to a telephone pole and make you a public spectacle, Mila declared with the energy of someone half her age. Yes, I'll pay, I promise. Drew was utterly terrified of Mila, like a child afraid of a strict parent. While my daughters have proven to be incredibly reliable, I am deeply grateful for Mila's presence and the support she has given me, which brought me immense relief. We presented solid evidence of the affair and demanded compensation from Nanny. That's when it came to light that Drew had purchased an apartment for her. Since the apartment was under Drew's name, it became part of the marital assets subject to division, forcing Nanny and Drew to vacate the property. Andrew, who had been preparing for his middle school entrance exams, was unable to take them. The three of them moved into a run-down rental apartment. Now both parents are consumed by debt repayment, leaving Andrew to spend most of his nights alone. I hope they manage to pay off their debts quickly and spend more time with their child. But with the hefty divorce compensation and 2 more years of child support payments, who knows when that will happen or how old their child will be by then. All I can do is pray that he doesn't grow up resentful or troubled by this situation. This ordeal inspired my daughters to pursue careers as lawyers. They are determined to fight against injustice and have thrown themselves into their studies with renewed passion. As for me, I found peace in my hobby of embroidery. Recently, I began selling my creations and am even considering launching an online store in the future. For now, I hope to enjoy calm, peaceful days, indulging in my hobbies, and embracing a more tranquil life. My name is Kate, and I am 42 years old. My husband, Jim, is 44, and the son of a wealthy family. Both of us work for the company run by my father-in-law, Tom. We don't have children, but we've been living a relatively happy life together until that day. What, Jim? Is that true? Yes, I'm afraid so. The disease was caught too late. There's nothing more we can do. Jim has about 6 months left, at most. A shockwave hit us like a thunderbolt. Jim, my husband, was given a terminal diagnosis. Lying in his hospital bed after some tests, Jim was stunned to hear about his prognosis. Then he fell into deep despair. Jim. Oh, Kate, I never thought I'd have to face the end of my life so soon. Don't say that. But the doctor said there's nothing left to do but palliative care. For a while, Jim looked dejected, but suddenly, he seemed determined. It's out of my control that I got sick. From now on, I need to get my affairs in order. Kate, listen to my will right now. I'll put it in writing later, but wait, hold on. Your will? Just like that. I've been thinking about this a lot. About who to entrust my inheritance to. We don't have any kids, right? So I'm leaving everything, including the company, to my only blood-related child, my illegitimate child. You're okay with that, right, Kate? What are you talking about? An illegitimate child? Yes, that's right. I have a child. They're probably about 5 years old now. That's why I'll leave everything to them. The stare directly at Jim's face as he said this ridiculous thing. I'd suspected he might say something like this someday, but I never thought he'd confess at a moment like this. I decided it was time to reveal the resolve I had kept hidden. Fine. If you're absolutely determined to leave everything to your illegitimate child, then go ahead. But sign the divorce papers and the custody waiver first. What? Divorce papers and custody waiver? Whose? Jim was stunned by my words. Seeing his face, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Well, it doesn't have to be right now. We can talk about it when you come back home. I'll have the documents ready. So be prepared. Kate. I gave Jim a big, bright smile and walked out of his hospital room. The next day, Jim came back home. He went straight to his bedroom, lying on his bed, fully embracing his role as a patient. Surrounding his bed were me and his parents. Jim, you still look fine. Are you sure you need to stay in bed like this? Or is it that you're already feeling pain? The doctor explained it well. Your disease is spreading throughout your body, slowly but steadily. It's already metastasized everywhere, but even as it progresses, you might not feel much yet. Suddenly, though, your body might stop cooperating. Your bones could become fragile. Bleeding might start more easily, and you'll begin to lose your hair and nails. These symptoms will appear more and more. Even lying in bed will become unbearable. Don't say such scary things out of nowhere. I'm a patient, okay? They said I have 6 months left. Be kinder to me. You wouldn't understand, Kate, being healthy and all, but I'm fighting every day with the fear of illness and death. Why can't you, Kate, be more compassionate towards me? Don't you understand how I feel? That's why. So what? Are you seriously suggesting that's the reason for your affair? Don't make me laugh. Your illness was diagnosed just yesterday. Are you saying you started cheating yesterday and somehow fathered a secret child overnight? That's absurd. I already know, Jim. I've known about your affair for a long time. And about the secret child you mentioned yesterday, too. What? No, you knew. Jim shouted from his hospital bed. Just then, his in-laws, looking utterly exasperated, spoke up. Jem. You've been skipping the mandatory health checkups at the company, haven't you? You claimed I approved it, said it was fine, but I knew nothing about this. The doctor said early detection was key for your condition. If you'd taken those checkups seriously, it could have been caught earlier, and treatment might have already started. And now you expect sympathy, demand kindness, and act like none of this is your fault. Exactly. Jim, you even pretended to have done the checkups in front of Kate, didn't you? The late discovery of your illness and your terminal prognosis is entirely your own doing. Instead of reflecting on that, you act entitled, as if being sick makes you immune to responsibility. It's honestly appalling. And the reason you skipped those checkups, was it something childish? Were you scared of the tests? You used to cry about getting shots well into high school, didn't you? Dad, Mom, why are you being so harsh? Your own son has been told he has 6 months to live. Can't you be a little more compassionate? Isn't that what parents are supposed to do? And crying about shots, that was when I was a kid. This is humiliating. I've always been healthy, so I thought health checkups were a waste of time. Skipping dinner after 7 p.m. or fasting before breakfast just felt unnecessary. I'd rather focus on work or meet with clients for dinner. It seemed better for the company too. So yeah, hearing 6 months to live shocked me too. I need you all to cut me some slack here. It's a company requirement, Jim. It's a legal obligation, and I've always emphasized that. I get my checkups done every year. At my age, taking care of my health is essential. And yet, you used my name as an excuse to dodge it, for some juvenile reason, no less. How am I supposed to explain this to the employees? Tom was frustrated and visibly conflicted. Mary, his mother-in-law, sighed repeatedly, clearly disheartened. Jim, shocked by his parents' lack of support, looked back and forth between them, searching for even a glimmer of empathy. But soon, regaining composure, he began repeating the same arguments he had made to me in the hospital room yesterday. But yes, it's true. My illness and limited time left are unfortunate, but Dad and Mom should be happy that I have a child, right? They've never been too vocal about it, but they've always hoped to hold a grandchild someday, haven't they? Paul, my younger brother, has been overseas, acting like an artist all the time. He's not going to get married, let alone have children. Dad and Mom were expecting their first grandson from me, their eldest son. And yet, here we are, all these years later, with no children between us. I've been thinking about it for a long time. What if one of us is the reason we can't have kids? I've always been perfectly healthy, so it couldn't possibly be me. Naturally, that means the issue must be with Kate. Isn't that the only logical conclusion? What? Jim, are you seriously suggesting that I'm infertile? Without any actual medical tests. But what other explanation could there be? The proof is right here. I have a child. A child with the woman I truly love. Anne. He carries my blood. And there's no doubt he's mine. That makes him Dad and Mom's grandchild, too. His name is Mike. He's 5 years old this year. Such a cute little boy. Now I'm not saying gender is everything, but when it comes to heirs, a boy just seems right, doesn't it? I'm so glad it turned out to be a son. I'm relieved that, before I pass, I can show Dad and Mom their grandson's face. I told Kate this yesterday, but I'm leaving my inheritance and the company's ownership to Mike. I'll be calling my attorney shortly to finalize everything, and I need Dad and Mom to witness it. Oh, and Kate, you're not getting a single penny of my inheritance. We may be married, but we're practically strangers. You couldn't even give me a child, so what use are you? Was this man always this despicable? No, I should have realized it when he started cheating. He's irredeemably vile and selfish. So you meant it when you said that yesterday. You're really going through with this? Of course I am. I've been saying it all along. Dad, Mom, Anne and my son are coming over shortly. I thought it was important for everyone to meet. After all, once I'm gone, they'll be part of this family. There's no reason to wait until my death, though, is there? Kate already knows the situation. At least let me spend my remaining days with the people I truly love. Anne and her son can start living here today. Get the housekeeper to prepare a room for them. Kate, you don't have to leave. You'll be staying here to care for me until I pass away. And my beloved can't be expected to handle that responsibility. But as my wife, Kate, it's your duty to take care of me, isn't it? Enough, Jim. Will you just shut your mouth? I slapped Jim's face, speaking on behalf of his utterly stunned parents. Then I threw the divorce papers, with my signature already on them, onto the bed. What the hell, Kate? How could you? I'm sick, damn it. How many times do I have to tell you that? Shut up. If you have enough energy to yell like that, then you're fine. I'm not taking care of you. How can you expect me to accept this situation? Are you out of your mind? You don't even understand what you've done, do you? I'd rather die than agree to this. My conditions haven't changed since yesterday. Divorce from you and giving up custody. I've already prepared the paperwork, so sign it now. Jim, you clearly care more about your mistress and a legitimate child, don't you? In that case, you can sign it right away, can't you? And for the record, I don't need any of your inheritance. What I care about more than that is getting full compensation from you in one lump sum. What? Calm down, Kate. What's with you since yesterday? Divorce and custody. Fine, divorce, whatever. But custody? What are you talking about? We don't even have kids, so whose custody am I supposed to give up? And I'm not paying any compensation. If anything, Kate, you owe me compensation. You hid the fact that you're infertile, didn't you? The reason I had an affair was because of you in the first place. So if anyone's responsible for paying compensation, it's you, not me. Jim spoke arrogantly. At that moment, Mary quietly stepped forward and, without a word, punched Jim in the head with her fist. A satisfying sound echoed. Even a man like him apparently had something inside that head of his. What? What are you doing, Mom? You idiot. How can you run away from responsibility? Jim, you have a duty to pay. Compensation. And if not for Kate's offer, child support as well. Kate said she wouldn't demand child support if you gave up custody. But you still have to take responsibility for what you've done. Because Kate is carrying your child, Jim. What? Jim looked stunned by Mary's words. Then he stared intently at my stomach. It was only confirmed very recently. I've already told Mary and Tom. It's certain I'm pregnant. I'm carrying your child, Jim. Remember, not long ago, you came home completely drunk after a dinner with a client. You reeked of alcohol and, well, you touched me in that state. The next morning, you were hungover and said you didn't even remember coming home. That's probably when it happened. Do you get it? I'm not infertile. I'd like you to take back what you said earlier. What? Wait, hold on. You can't just drop this on me now. You called me infertile over and over without even confirming it. And you used that as your excuse for cheating. Stop saying such ridiculous things. You cheated because you chose to. You couldn't control your desires, could you? Don't drag me into your excuses. You're totally disgusting. Disgusting. Wait. If you're going to accuse me like that, then I have every right to doubt you too, Jim. Maybe you're the one who's infertile. That would explain a lot, wouldn't it? After all, If you can baselessly claim I'm infertile, then surely you wouldn't mind if I did the same to you. And if that's the case, then maybe that illegitimate child isn't even yours. What if you were deceived and ended up raising someone else's kid? What are you saying? Don't you dare insult Anne and the kids. I won't forgive you. Who insulted whom first? Let's not forget about Jim's mistress, Anne, right? From what I hear, she's pretty popular with men. And not just Jim, apparently. I thought you knew she was seeing other men too. Or are you telling me you didn't? It's something a simple search could have told you. What? What are you talking about? No, you're trying to trick me, but it won't work. That's a lie. It's not a lie. While gathering evidence of your affair with Anne, I stumbled upon something unexpected. Pictures of Anne entering a hotel with a man who wasn't you. And not just once or twice. She's even been taking them to her place. Oh, and by the way, the place Anne lives in now. It's one of those luxury apartments you secretly arranged for her. Seems she's been inviting multiple men there and throwing loud parties. Complaints have even been filed with the building management. Didn't you know that, Jim? That's not true. She isn't that kind of woman. Anne is humble and sweet. All right. If you want to keep believing that, go ahead. But the evidence I have of your affair is undeniable. My lawyer has already reviewed it, and there's no doubt I can file a claim for damages. Here's what I want: divorce, full compensation up front, and, as I've said, full custody of this child. After the divorce, I don't want you to ever contact my child again. Even if you only had 6 months to live, I wouldn't want you anywhere near them. I don't care if my child doesn't inherit a penny from you. I'll raise my child myself, and we'll be fine. You've made it clear that your mistress and your illegitimate child are more important to you than this family. So, sign the papers now. Or do you want to drag this to court? Court. If this goes to court, my company will take a huge hit. Then do the right thing, Jim. Accept the terms and let her go. If it takes a court trial to cut ties with you, it's worth it. Mary and I both agree on that. Dad, Mom, whose side are you even on? Why aren't you standing by me? Jim looked like he was about to burst into tears as he shouted. That's when Tom finally lost his temper. What do you mean, why? It's because you were the one who betrayed Kate first. Idiot. Have some shame, Dad. And tell me, Jim, what position are you speaking from? Talking about inheritance and taking over the company. Your personal assets aside, the company isn't something you can decide on your own. You're still a nobody in our company. What is this? Do you think you've already become the CEO or something? I have absolutely no intention of making you the next CEO. That position will be carefully decided by discussing it with the current executives. What on earth makes you think you can act like the company is yours? What are you talking about, Dad? I'm your son. I'm the eldest. Who else but me is supposed to inherit the company? That's just your own delusion. Jim, I've never once told you that you would inherit the company. Is that why you've been acting like you own the place lately, thinking you'll eventually take over? I've heard all about it, and let me tell you, I've been considering cutting your salary or even transferring you to another department as a disciplinary action. No way. Why are you always saying things like this? Isn't the company like your personal property? If that's the case, it's only natural for your blood-related son to inherit it. I've lived my whole life believing that. I'm going to die soon anyway. If I'm going to die, at least let me have something good in the end. Let me be the CEO. You. Tom's face turned bright red with rage as he raised his hand, ready to strike. But before he could, Mary collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "No, I was wrong. I'm so sorry, Tom. I'm sorry for giving birth to such a child. I'm sorry for raising him as our son. Don't cry, Mary. This isn't your fault. The reason Jim's character is so twisted lies with him, not with you." What are you saying? What's going on?" Seeing Jim's confused face, I decided it was time to tell him the truth about himself. With Mary breaking down like this, there was no way she could explain. "Jim, I'll tell you the truth. You're not Tom's son. You're the child Mary had with another man." "What?" "Years ago, Mary was deeply troubled because she couldn't conceive. So she had a relationship with a gardener who used to come to our home. That's how you were born." Back then, it was hard to accept that infertility could be caused by the man. Mary, as a young woman with so much pressure, felt that having a child was her duty. When Tom learned about Mary's anguish, he accepted it and raised you as his own son, truly as if you were his own flesh and blood. What are you saying? Then, what about Paul? Who is Paul's father? A few years after Jim was born, another child came into the family, this time, without any doubt, a child who shared both mom and dad's blood. That child was your younger brother, Paul. They had no issues conceiving. It was just a matter of timing. Mary said she felt guilty about Jim and spoiled him because of it. She even blamed herself for the terrible mistake of having an affair. But that's not true at all. That's a lie. I don't believe it. Then would you like to see the DNA test results? They clearly show that Jim is not Tom's biological child. I've seen them myself. And maybe Jim should also test his supposed illegitimate child. It might put a lot of things to rest. Jim trembled at my words. It seemed he was finally starting to grasp his situation. If you are so fixated on blood relations, then you need to understand that neither you or your illegitimate child has any claim to Tom's inheritance. The only rightful heir is Paul. You keep insisting that being the firstborn son should entitle him to everything. But is that really all you can hold on to, Jim? Is blood relation all that matters to you? Is that the only thing that has value? Even without a biological connection, Tom raised you as his own all these years. Well, Jim looked at Tom, desperate for some kind of help, but it was far too late for that. I understand how you feel, Jim, so let me be honest with you too. If you and Kate get divorced, my husband and I plan to adopt her as our own daughter. What? Adopt her? That's right. She is such a wonderful person. Even though she lost her parents at a young age, she's diligent, kind, and hard-working. Tom tells me she's highly respected for her work ethic. And Jim, you might not know this, but the three of us, Tom, Kate, and I have gone on several trips together. I love her as if she were my own daughter. What? Trips? With my dad and mom? Well, every time we invited you, you either claimed to be busy with work or made up some excuse about being on a business trip. It's easy enough to check whether you were actually out of town. And while we were away, you didn't seem to care that your parents were leaving the house unattended. In fact, we know you brought your mistress here multiple times. Do you have anything else to say? If so, feel free to argue all you want. In the end, you'll have no choice but to accept my terms. Oh, no. Jim's face turned paler and paler, resembling that of a sick man. Well, technically, he was sick. At that moment, loud footsteps and voices echoed closer. Please, ma'am, you need to wait. I need to confirm this with Mr. and Mrs. Henderson first. Don't worry about it. Starting today, I'm living in this house. The door swung open. Standing there was a woman holding a suitcase, with a small boy clutching her hand. Jim let out an odd, strangled sound at the sight of her. "Hello, darling. I just couldn't wait to get here. Isn't this house amazing? Living here feels like a dream come true. But I shouldn't celebrate too much, right? After all, you only have 6 months left, don't you? When you told me yesterday that you'd leave everything to Mike, I was shocked, but I'm so grateful. I'm truly lucky to have met someone who thinks so much about their child." Anne, why did you come here?" "What? You told me to come, Jim. I only brought some clothes and valuables and left the house. But isn't it a waste to leave that place empty? You're still paying the rent, aren't you, darling? That place. Are you planning to keep using it to meet other men?" When I spoke, Anne looked startled, as if she had just realized my in-law's presence. "Oh, I see. Your wife is still around, right? But she'll take care of you, won't she? My delicate arms can't handle that. Besides, I have to take care of the kids. Tom, Mary, nice to meet you. We're going to be family from now on. Mike, say hello to Grandpa and Grandma. Nice to meet you." The affair partner was completely oblivious to the contemptuous gazes from my in-laws. Perhaps this is what it means to be shameless. Having no other choice, I decided to bring this to an end myself. "Anne and Mike, I'm planning to demand compensation for the affair from you as well. Be prepared to pay." "What compensation? What are you talking about? Compensation is compensation. We have all the evidence of your affair. We can go to court if you'd like. You can get the details from this person. I'll leave you two alone. But before that, would you mind signing this?" At my prompting, Jim seemed to have no strength left to resist. He hung his head deeply on the bed and signed both the divorce papers and the other documents. After confirming that, I left the room with my in-laws. "Well then, take your time. Enjoy your time as a family, and have a good talk." Just as the door was about to close, I thought I heard the affair partner scream, but I ignored it. Our divorce was finalized successfully. Jim paid the compensation in a lump sum, using his savings. Then more of Jim's crimes came to light. He had been embezzling money from his company. He had likely been using it for Anne. Expelled from both his home and his workplace, he couldn't even afford palliative care in a hospital. The affair partner, who had also been forced to pay a significant amount in compensation, abandoned him, leaving behind their secret child. Driven by despair, Jim attempted to burn down his workplace with the child in tow, but was arrested before he could. Having lost everything, Jim now faces a lonely death in prison. The secret child was prepared for adoption by my in-laws. As for me, I successfully formalized my legal family ties with my in-laws through adoption. Recently, I've even grown a bit closer to my brother-in-law, Paul, who has returned to his family home. Looking at the relationship alone, it might seem like a forbidden love, which makes me chuckle a little. But even without blood ties, my determination to support each other as a family remains unwavering. Thinking so, I gently stroke my beloved child's head.